Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. I'm your host, Travis, military veteran myself. And Oscar Mike Radio is about military stories, the veterans, and the people who serve and help us. Welcome. And I have a great guest as part of my Freedom Tour series, veteran himself, talented man extraordinaire, Mr. Anderson. Welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Travis, it's a pleasure to be here, brother. It's a pleasure.
We got connected through Danielle Rocco. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
A ball of energy she is. And
oh my God.
Right. Like, where's it come from?
But I don't know. I'm always saying to her, where are you today? It's like you're all over the world.
you gotta hold her down, and it's hard, but she introduces us and we start talking about each other's story. And then, I'm doing this Freedom Tour series. She's doing it with me. She has people on, and then she tells me, hey, Tom is coming out. And right around this time, you just dropped a book. You just finished some film work. So a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we do any of that, I kind of like to get the idea of what you did in the military, because you yourself served.
Yeah, I did. I did 23 years between active duty and reserve time. I went in 1970 into the Army. It's back, they used to have a 2-year enlistment, and you would go in for 2 years active, 2 years ready reserve, and then 2 years of inactive reserve. And I didn't do much on active duty. I started out as an infantry radioman and trained for Vietnam, but never went. And I was stationed in brigade headquarters down south Georgia. And we had, when I got out, I went to a reserve unit that had did the same job as in communications, and I mean, I really didn't find it exciting because I like to do stuff. I like to be busy. I don't like just sitting in an office, and that seemed what they wanted me to do, is to sit in the office and run a net. It's like, oh, okay. and an opportunity came up where they had moved a air cavalry unit into our community. They were doing some restructuring with Vietnam, starting to pull troops out of there. And a friend of mine who was a first sergeant in that reserve unit said, hey, you're interested in aviation. Why don't you transfer over here? And I did. And I went to crew chief school and became a crew chief on a Huey and a Kiowa Scout. And I did that for 10 years in the reserve, National Guard. And
did you ever read the book called Chicken Hawk by Robert Mason about the Huey in Vietnam?
Yes.
That was that was, I read that when I first got in the Marine Corps, and that's one of the most amazing books I've ever read.
Yes. Yeah, there a couple of the Huey drivers wrote some really good books.
Yeah,
really good ones. And I got to actually, it came around. We did a documentary film which showed at the GI Film Festival 2 years ago. We all lost a year because of COVID. Take Me Home, Huey, which I got to be a part of. I did photography, and I was a technical advisor on it. And we did about an hour and a half documentary film, which won numerous awards, an Emmy, and it was a great experience. And so I was able to utilize that experience in my first real venture into a big film production.
Oh, awesome!
And but out of the in the Army, I got to a point where I was 29, and CO came and said, your scores are all good enough. You should go to OCS, and this is your last time to apply because you can't go to OCS after age 30. And so I applied. I went, and I was about halfway through OCS because my plan was to come back, go to flight school. I broke my hand in OCS, and so I got. I was separated from OCS, and they said it was without prejudice. I could come back and join the class where I had left, once my hand was healed and everything. And an opportunity came up for me to transfer over to the Air Force and get into crash rescue because of my civilian life. I was a firefighter medic, and I was weighing it. Do I want to go back and be an infantry second lieutenant, or do I want to do crash rescue with the Air Force? And I just said, nah, I went over to the Air Force and I finished out my time there. And I retired as a master sergeant and a deputy fire chief with the Air Force. And that was my military career pretty much.
So you're doing all this in the military. Did you start getting into, I use media production because you're an author, you're a
Right.
filmmaker, all that. Were you doing that in conjunction with your military career along with being, your civilian life when you were in the reserves?
Well, one of the things I did is I was into photography and I started getting pretty good at it. And whenever on all our deployments, any place we would go to, I'd always had a camera. And I started developing a real eye for taking pictures. And I started writing articles for several journals, fire engineering. I wrote one for Firehouse. I wrote one for I can't remember if it was military.com or something like that. But as I was getting into that, people said, "Why don't you write a book? You've got a gift for writing and all that." And I was kind of like, "Yeah, I will do that someday." And it took me a little while to get around to the fact that let me write a book. And after we were filming, I started writing a book, my first one, Haboob Wind, which became a bestseller on Amazon. I It's when we were filming Take Me Home, Huey, and it kind of spurred my interest. And I had some feedback saying you should turn this book into a screenplay. And I wrote it. I did the screenplay. I learned how to write screenplays. I got into making screenplays, doing that. And out of that, I was asked to be in a couple movies as extra and then background. And before you know it, I had an agent, and I started doing some more stuff on television. I was on. I can always say that I wasn't a Navy SEAL, but I was on SEAL team on TV as a retired squid. And
We'll hold that against you.
I know, right? And and then I played in a part as a colonel in the Army Air Force in World War II. And a buddy of mine who was a major, Huey driver, he says to me, he says, "Oh, you finally made colonel." And I said, "Yeah, that's the only way it ever happened." And so that's kind of how it happened. And then I just started getting more involved. I got involved with veterans in Hollywood, uh, veterans in media and entertainment. And it just kind of took off from there. And I started writing more. Uh, I was asked, my screenplay writing got better. I was asked to write this screenplay about a Marine sniper coming home from Afghanistan with PTSD. And I wrote the screenplay for it. And then I was an associate producer on the film, and I was in it also, but it went on to win a number of awards. Best screenwriting. It's going to premiere this May at the GI Film Festival.
Nice.
And it's called Life After Oblivion. I'm just really excited about it. But out of that, it just seemed to snowball. And people say, well, how did you get into it? When did it start? And I'm not sure. It's like all of a sudden, things just started rolling. And before I know it, I'm agreeing to, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. And then all of a sudden, here I am, and people are asking me for advice. And now I'm a moderator on the meeting we had today, military veterans and Hollywood professionals. Now I'm a moderator of the group. And so one of the things I did in the military and in the civilian fire department, I was an instructor. And so I find that easy to teach people how to write, teach people how to do things, and kind of become a mentor to several people doing that who are military, trying to transition into the entertainment world, either be writing or screenwriting or anything like that. So it's, I wish I could put it down into a timetable how things happen.
It
Then before
sounds
you know
like
it,
It sounds
Yeah.
like you just kept saying yes and embracing the opportunity and doing it with every fiber of your being. And magically, now you're the man
Well,
in
the thing
vernacular.
is yeah, we learned this in the military that you always move forward. If you hit a setback, you go again. You might go it at a different direction, but you just don't give up. And that was me. I just didn't give up. I wanted to learn, and people knew that they could count on me to do it. And I got connected with a bunch of other great veterans who were in the entertainment business, and we all help one another. And before you know it, I'm involved in things that I never ever thought I'd be involved with, and I really love storytelling now. I mean, I love writing stories. I just got called in to help fix a script for a film that they want to go for financing to film this summer. Uh, it's called Tim Jar. It's about some Army uh, special operations people that are in training soldiers in another country, and they're caught in the Civil War. So they got a hold of me and said, "Can you fix a script because we need it for financing?" So I got it, and I went in there and I started rewriting it, and they was like, "Wow!" And I like to be able to have that skill and give back to other people that need help.
Awesome.
These are veterans I was helping. I'll always help another vet. It's something we take care of one another, and I've always believed in never leave a fallen brother behind or sister. And through that, I'm on the board of directors of the Us for Warriors Foundation out of San Diego. We're one of the largest veterans nonprofits in San Diego, and the number one veteran nonprofit down there, uh, working with the homeless vets, working with active duty people, young enlisted people that don't have a lot of money, but things never change over the years. They can have 3 or 4 kids and be an E4,
Right,
and,
right.
some things never change. So I get a lot of gratification helping them, helping homeless vets. I mean, there's nothing like uh, helping somebody to overcome an obstacle, because we won't turn away from somebody who served. We just won't do it.
Right.
At least I won't, and I don't think most of us won't.
Yeah. So you're doing all this, and the latest thing that came to mind when we talked was your book. I just see it here on Amazon. It's 2 Million Steps. Very interesting story, and it kind of ties in with the Freedom Tour. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
getting it.
there it is, right there.
I'm gonna order it. Um, Tell us about that story, and then we'll go into how you're going to use that to support veterans.
Well, I'm going to. How I came about it was about when I first got started with inkling about writing a book. This was actually going to be my first book. I went on a 6-week tour of the South in 2009 to go all the battle sites that this unit, the 25th Wisconsin, had gone through in the Civil War, because my great great grandfather was a member of that unit, and being a sort of a military historian, I was really interested in that. And as I got into it more, I realized how remarkable this unit was and the things that they had done in the war. And I did a lot of pictures, I did a lot of journaling, and then my question was, how was I going to write a book about it? I wrote one originally, and I looked at it and I said, I just wrote a history book. I don't want to write a history book. And so what I did is I took my grandfather, great great grandfather, and I used him as the key protagonist in the book, and I created a story around him to show the lives of the soldiers of the period, which isn't too much different from today. And it followed him and his best friend throughout the war, from the start of the war to the surrender of the forces. He was actually at the last surrender of General Johnston in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so I wrote it on that, and it became a real passion project for me. And and it took longer than my other projects, because I wanted to make it a good story that people would read, and you know, find out about the historical facts around it, but then try to understand the guys that were involved in it.
Yeah.
And that was my attempt. And I put in there that, you know, the stories around my grandfather, I took creative license with, because it's the only way I could do it to build a story. And I'm really happy with it. I'm really excited. It just came out in hardcover and paperback last week on Amazon. I think it's on barnesandnoble.com right now. It's going to be coming out shortly on Audible and also on Kindle. It's a portion of the money I raised from the book I'm going to put towards the Freedom Tour.
Yeah, that was
And
really that was really amazing how that came together. You know, Danny was talking to me about this, and I started looking into what you were doing, and you know, you looked at what the Freedom Tour was about, and you decided to support that. And I'm curious because there's thousands of veterans organizations out there. You know, what was it about the Freedom Tour that drew you to it to support it in this way?
well, Chris is very compelling. Let's put it that way. I like Chris Turner,
Yeah,
Nashville star, and I like him. I like the fact that he's no nonsense Marine. I admire that. Uh, he's a normal person you can sit down and talk to about this stuff. He battles with PTSD. I battle with it too, from the fire department mainly. Other people do too. I've lost friends to PTSD and suicide. It's been one of my driving forces to be part of this Us for Warriors and other things that I'm involved with, and writing this screenplay, Life After Oblivion, and to highlight PTSD, because a real dear friend of mine's son had been in the infantry for around 8 years and committed suicide. And after that, I thought, I have to do something rather than us talking about it and supporting you and say, I got your back and that. I have to do something more than that. So we created a podcast called the Take It Back Network that runs out of San Diego. And we deal with people who've recovered or changed their lives to adapt to these type of things. We've had some amazing people on. But plus I wrote the screenplay because I wanted to show what it's like for a person, what their internal struggle is, because 9 times out of 10, whether you're a veteran, public safety officer, or whatever, you hide that within you because you don't want to show that vulnerability to
right.
people. You know, we're professionals. We're told to, you don't have emotions, you can separate yourself from that. Well, we do in a really good facade, but that's it. And my friend's son was one of those. And then I found out he was I believe, the 28th member of his unit that has committed suicide since they returned from the war.
Mm.
And that is like unacceptable. And after that, I had a couple other people I knew who had, I think part of it was because of the shutdown. Vets had committed suicide as well. One young kid, he was only 24, 25, I knew, and somebody who I had served with. And it's like, we got to do something. We got to take care of our brothers and sisters in all our different uniforms, because waiting for the government to do something is not going to happen.
No.
I mean, we know that the greatest inaction in the world is the government saying, "We'll form a committee on this and look into it," and that's where it goes. So we have to do it ourselves. Chris brought this up, and I said, "This is, to me, I want to be part of this." I told Dani, I want to be part of this because it's so impactful, and we actually have a star who is a veteran who's going to promote it and has the passion to promote it. And when he said he was kicking it off in Nashville on the 30th, you should come here, I said, well, yeah, I'm coming.
All right.
And then he told me where he's having it at, and I know the guys that own the venue.
That's right.
And I'm sitting there going like, no way. I said, this is meant to be. There's some things we've talked about it. Dani and I have talked about it. Others and I have. Is God puts us together to perform a certain mission, and that's what all this is happening. Everything is getting put together uh, to make this happen, and that's what really makes me feel this is really going to be big, and that's why whatever little bit I make off these books, I don't mind donating some to this if we can actually make this happen and get the word out.
Well, it's going to be an amazing event. It's a whole, and you said it right. There's a whole lot of people coming together, seemingly by chance, but I don't think so, to support this. And what this is, ladies and gentlemen, is it's going to be a series of concerts that are held at VFWs in Tennessee in 2020. And in conjunction with that, there's going to be this Crosswinds Foundation Warrior Hope curriculum to help people deal with PTSD. And so, Chris, I've talked to Chris, you talked to Chris, Tom, and you're right. There's that, it's very familiar, that no nonsense, straight to the point Marine Corps attitude that, he wants to do something impactful to help, people affected by PTSD. And this is the way he's going to do it. So I'm just happy to see all the support come around this event on the 30th at Bold Patriot in Nashville.
Yes. I just, like I said, I was just talking to Dani about it, and I mean, I see the electricity around it and how things are going to happen. I just know in my heart something's going to come out of this, something good.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just, the more I get into this, the more I see that people are willing to, pull together and work together. Great things can happen. And I'm looking forward to really reading 2 Million Steps. How can people check out some of the other work that you've done?
They can go to Amazon.com. They can either put in 2 Million Steps and then just click on my name, and they'll bring up my other materials that I have. I've got some other materials in the works, but it takes time to get through and write books and go through the editing process and everything, and so I've got these movie projects going. We're going to have links up after the GI Film Festival so they can see the film Life After Oblivion, and
I'm going to follow you right now on Amazon.
Yeah, and then when that comes out, should be a disclaimer to have Kleenex, because it's pretty powerful. It was powerful to us who made it. And again, everybody that came together to make this film, it was for a purpose. Everybody knew it was for a purpose. And people came out to offer their support to help us make the film. It was really amazing to see what it happened, and to know the power that we can create doing something grassroots and doing it ourselves, and just telling the government, just stay out of the way, let us take care of it. If we need some assistance, we'll let you know. We've learned over the years, especially through the military, if we don't have something, we'll either make it,
yep,
or steal it. But we'll get it done.
Tactically acquired is how I was told.
Tactically acquired. That's it. Tactically acquired.
There you go. There you go.
We all had somebody in our unit that was extremely skilled at that.
Yep. Wasn't thievery, it was appropriation.
That's right.
As you put together these teams, going back here a little bit, you say you bring these people together to work, and you've done this a while now. You've had a lot of experience doing this. What's it like to you when you see people who are, working together with you for the first time really click and buy into what the mission is and put their heart and soul into it? What's that mean to you to see them working that hard?
It's really gratifying, and it's gratifying for them too. I've seen it through the Us for Warriors Foundation, where we have a bunch of young kids in the military, Navy and Marine Corps, that are part of our Corps of Volunteers, who some of them, they're away from home. They have especially during the lockdown. They have nothing to do, and we can find a veteran's house that needs to be fixed up or cleaned up and do a project around that. And we get these kids to volunteer who are Navy Seabees. They come in there and they help, and they're excited to help because they know they're doing something, and they're with younger and older vets. They're, the community, everybody is happy to see them. We do little things like, we have shirts for the volunteers, which says the Us for Wires Foundation. And we just are very people orientated for our volunteers, and they're excited to be part of it. And we feed off their energy. We just,
I love it.
Yeah, we do. It's really great because, everybody's doing it for, I hate to use the term, for free, but they want to be part of it. They don't want to donate money. They want to donate time. They want to donate their resources, their skill. And we have them help with stand downs when we do stand downs for the veterans and things like that. We have a food pantry. They help with that. It's just very gratifying. And we've grown. We're going to be starting our own military channel on YouTube and a podcast, and we're going to be doing outreach programs through our own studio. We have a studio now that we're finishing off in San Diego at our headquarters, where we can do productions, and we can bring people in from around the country to give classes or do interviews. We want to bring everybody together to work together on these things, and there's just a great satisfaction, and I know it, everybody else knows it, that when you're part of something that you're making a difference, it's more valuable than any kind of financial compensation.
Absolutely. So we're going to be together on April 30th in Nashville. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Looking forward to starting your book. And ladies and gentlemen, he is on Amazon. Look up 2 Million Steps, follow it. You're going to see all the other works that he's done. And it's just an exciting way how you heard about this, you met Chris, Dani, and you're able to be a part of this, and look what's happened. More people get to be involved. So it's just a really, exciting story to tell. And I want to thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Travis. It was an honor to be on your show today.
And folks, you're going to be able to meet the man in person if you want to. Come to Bold Patriot in Nashville, Tennessee on April 30th at 6 p.m. for the Freedom Tour launch. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And Mr. Anderson, Tommy, thank you so much for coming on Oscar Mike Radio, and can't wait to meet you in person, sir.
Oh, same here. I can't. I hear nothing but good things about you.
Oh, boy.
And Dani told me you're driving because you got a car, so.
Yep. No problem. Dani's very well informed. Absolutely awesome. So,
okay,
folks, as we say in Oscar Mike Radio, we are mission in flight.